Hi, I'm Joel Signorelli from Archery Supplies, and today we are going to be having a look at the PSE Mach 34. Now, Stephen has already done a really good review on the Mach 34, which I recommend you head over and check out. So this is going to be, again, more of a shooting and feedback video. I am going to keep running with the very cheap and simple sight and Whiskey Biscuit rest setup. A few people have sort of asked why, not setting the bow up and it's not giving a true sort of review of the bow. And I kind of think that this might be the truest review of the bow because there's nothing to help me, right? Like, it's pretty much as bare bones as it can possibly get. So I think that this is the best way that I can experience just the bow itself. Like, whether that's a bit backwards because you're not going to shoot it as just the bow itself, I don't know, but it would become a question of how do I standardize things, and if I start adding different equipment on different bows in different videos, like, it all just gets confusing. So we're going to keep it super simple, we're going to keep it just as the bare bow, we're going to shoot it the way that it is, get the truest sort of sense of feedback that we can, sort of the truest sense of hold, and all of those sorts of things, because I am really interested in how a bow holds on target with nothing on it. Because if it holds on target well with nothing on it, then yeah, sure, you put a stabilizer, whatever length you want on there, and a sidebar, and a magnified scope, and a clarifier, and blah blah blah, and on, and we end up with a target bow. And sure, it will shoot better, but yeah, how does it hold with nothing? Like, so that's what we're going to sort of look at. Now, kind of starting back to front, I did say just the other day that I don't always paper first, but little sort of backstory of our experience with these Mach 34s is that so far all of the ones that have gone out to our customers have needed to be shimmed. All of them needed to be shimmed over to the left. So I just want to see where this is at straight out of the box. So I've pulled it out, I've wound it out a little bit, coming back from a bit of a shoulder injury, so we're shooting it at about, I think it's about 62, something like that. But yeah, I just want to shoot it through paper and see what it does to start with, like as a base level, because probably about 6 of the bows, 5 or 6, and like to like good shooters, regular like I would say like well practiced shooters. So yeah, so I thought it might be interesting to shoot a variety of arrows as well through paper and see what that does. So I have a cheap target arrow, an expensive target arrow, a cheap hunting arrow, and an expensive hunting arrow. So let's shoot them through paper and see what happens. So this is the EC2 cam. I've not actually shot the EC2 cam a lot yet. I think I'm going to really love this bow. Up until very recently, I had only shot PSEs. So I started out with a Stinger. I upgraded to, I think I had the old Shoot Down as my first target bow. I got the Evo NXT33, just the Evo version, not the John Dudley knock-on version, because I wanted to play with the extra sight positions and the movable cable. But yeah, like, I've loved PSE for a long time. Shot the Supra XL, the Citation, and back to the Supra. So this being a 34-inch axle to axle bow as well, I suspect is going to make it more stable. I feel like I'm going to shoot it better. I tend to shoot better with like your 33 to 34 inch. Somebody asked why I don't have string contact on my nose, which is a really good question, because I would always recommend, and I always do coach when I'm setting up beginners or instructing anybody on their technique, about where we're contacting and our 3 points of reference and all of that sort of stuff. For me, I've sort of gone away from compound a little bit. I've been shooting competitive target recurve for a year and a half-ish, maybe 2 now. And so I'm getting sort of this idea of this set head position as being my main point of reference. Well, not my main point of reference, but I have to tuck my head to get my nose onto the string if I'm shooting a shorter axle to axle bow. If I'm shooting a 37 or a 40 or a longer target bow, I'll generally have my draw length long enough that I'll be able to get that good nose contact. But with these shorter bows, I would rather have a really stable head and a really solid lock in my anchor than duck my head and risk sort of changing everything each time. So that's my thinking behind it. Might be right, might not be. Just what I'm trying at the moment. Alright, so let's see what happens. Let's start. We're going to start with a cheap target arrow. So this is the cheapest target arrow that we sell. They come in a set of a dozen for 80 bucks. Like glued in target point, pin knock system, fletched, crazy cheap. So, might be a little bit soft in the spine. I thought I'd try some different spines as well. I've got a 400, a 350, and a 300. So at 60 pounds, we should be 350. But let's see what some different spines and some different arrows do. So, alright, cheap target arrow. First one through paper. Well, well, I don't think I'll be shimming it. I'm not sure if you can see that. I'll zoom in on them in a minute. But that's about as perfect a bullet hole as you could ask for. Like, how did I? Jeez. Like it lines up all right. I mean, there's no adjustment in there. But I guess my eyeball was just on point that day. Well, let's see if it was a fluke. Let's try another arrow. This is the expensive target arrow. Ooh! See, now that got a really dramatic tear. So look at that. So that was knock high. It's got a high tear. So that's interesting. So that was the 350 spine Victory VXT. The Victory VXT is their expensive target arrow. It tapers out, so it's thinnest at the back, which is supposed to give, like, if the spine at the back of the arrow is weaker, it's supposed to be more forgiving. So it's like a 166 thickness at the back, and then it tapers up as it goes along. I'm not sure what it gets up to. Not quite a 204, but it's bigger. So, yeah, alright. So that one didn't work as well. Let's try the hunting arrows now. So this is a Black Eagle Outlaw. It's a 350 spine. It's at full length, so that's what, probably about 31 inches carbon to carbon. I didn't measure it, but generally that's about what they are. And I've put a 100, maybe 125. No, sorry, 100 grain point in the front because I've kept it full length. So I figured I might need to soften it up a little, stiffen it up a little bit rather. Alright, let's see how this one goes. Not sure orienting the fletchers makes any difference at all because it's a whisker biscuit, but let's just do it anyway. Alright, here we go. Okay. Look, that one's pretty bloody good. Like I said, I'll zoom in on them in a second. Cool. Alright. But, yeah, shimming is not something that's on the table at the moment. Okay, so expensive hunting arrow. So this is my hunting arrow. It's a Victory VAP TKO in a 300 spine. It has a 4-fletch configuration, just because I think it looks pretty. I'm not sure if they do much. It has a 50 grain insert and a 125 grain point, so it has 175 up the front. So hopefully that's going to soften the 300 up enough for this sort of 60, 62 pound bow. But let's see what kind of tear this potentially too stiff a spine arrow gets. interesting. I'm just going to sort of flare out the holes just a tiny bit so you can actually see them on the camera. But let's zoom in on that. Alright. Wow, right? Like, how good is that? So, let me point out which ones were which to you. So this was that first. That was the cheapest arrow I had to pick up. It was cheap, and I thought it would be a little bit too soft because it was 400 spine. Probably only had 100 up the front. But yeah, like you cannot get more perfect than that out of the. And it shouldn't, because it's a 166 and this is a 245 diameter whisker, right? So, like you'd think there'd be variance there. Like, and maybe if I shot a whole bunch of those arrows through paper, I'd get varying tears. But I think that's not bad for a once-off. Now this is actually the expensive target arrow. So this one was a 355 spine. It had 125 up the front, I'm going to say. And slightly, yeah, knock high. Maybe because of the taper, because of how the taper would have changed how the arrow is sitting in the rest. That's just off the top of my head. I'm not sure. Let me know in the comments what you think. This one was the cheap hunting arrow, which is just about as perfect as you'd want it. You could argue that, no, you couldn't argue actually. I'm going to call that a bullet hole. I'm happy with that. And this is the expensive target arrow. Sorry, expensive hunting arrow. This is the Victory VAP TKO. So, like, with the exception of the target arrow, which maybe I should stop shooting for the reviews now, we've gotten pretty well bullet holes through it straight away. So, sorry, let me just fix up the zoom. So that's really interesting. Like, clearly we have a good starting point, I guess. So what we'll do next is we'll go back out to 40 meters. We'll shoot a group with target arrows, and we'll shoot field points and broadheads and see how they fly in comparison to each other. I kind of like that format. I think that's going to be the way that I test things. That'll be my version of the Steve no peep at 18 meters. Will be the Joel peep at 40. So, all right, let's head out and see how it shoots. So, we're out at 40, and I have been rushing around all afternoon between customers, and it rained, and I keep putting one thing down and running off and finding another thing and then losing the thing. Anyway, so we've lost the hat. I've got a sight setting. I think I'm going to shoot really, really well with this bow. It felt really good. I shot 2 groups to get the sight setting. One was amazing. One was the worst ever. So let's see what happens. Yeah. Now, I've changed the target arrows that I'm going to shoot. Since these got the best bullet hole, I'm going with the $80 a dozen pre-mades. So, let's see how they go. That one feels a little bit loose on the string, actually. If you ever are a little bit suspicious of a knock, or you think that it might be a little bit loose on the string, see, like, look, straight away. See how deformed that is? So maybe that is the disadvantage of shooting the really cheap arrow. You might have to change the nocks on them. I'm not sure. We'll see how the rest go. Always check your nocks. If you're not sure, if it doesn't click on quite properly, if it's a bit loose, if you've shot a really tight group, just check your nocks. That potentially could have been a dry fire. And on a scale of 1 to horrible, dry firing one of the absolute best bows on the market on video for your boss wouldn't be the best. So we're just going to be aware of these arrows as we're knocking and shooting them. Cool. All right. Let's see how we go. God, it feels nice to shoot. So these are clicking on fine, so might have just had a bad one. it is very, very responsive in the hand. In comparison to the Era, I will say, this one jumps. Like, I actually had to run inside and put on a finger sling. I did use a finger sling in the Era video, you might have noticed. That was more for my own peace of mind, because I just don't want to drop a really expensive bow. But with this one, I feel like I need it. Like, now again, yes, I know, we're gonna have stabilizers and blah blah blah, and it doesn't count because it's not a proper setup, etc, etc. But, like, just in terms of the raw feel of the bow, like, it has that forward push momentum. Like, it feels like a target bow in that way. The target bow is, like, it's very, very similar actually, because it seems to be top heavy and it seems to jump forward in this plane, so it's jumping like this on me. So that's not a bad thing. Like, I kind of like a bow that's responsive and gives you a bit of feedback in your shot. It feels like a PSE to shoot, you know. It's super crisp, the draw cycle is super smooth. Like, this is awesome. I really love this. The EC2. I'm not entirely certain what makes it different to the EC1, to be honest with you. Let me know in the comments. But it reminds me very much of, like, my NXT 33 to shoot. Whoa, feels awesome. It feels so nice. It really holds. Like, it really, really holds. Like, I've always sort of been a bit funny about people saying, oh, this is just the best aiming bow, or this is just the stillest bow, and I have always found that the stillest bow is just, you know, I don't know, maybe it's just me, maybe I'm just naturally shaky, which I think might be a thing. That's where that one broke. Felt that one go left. Oh, and I have a little bit of a natural shake, like a lot of people do. I do painting as well, and I always have to do breathing exercises for when I'm painting, and I have to brace myself on things, and so, like, it might just be that I'm just a little bit more sort of jittery. Like, I probably drink way too much coffee. Let's be honest. I feel like the ones that are grouping down there are grouping super tight. Like, it's definitely punishing my my worst shots, but when I'm shooting well, my god, it feels great. I have noticed that my D-loop keeps on creeping up. I actually cut it and retied it just before, because I was like, oh, it's a loose D-loop. And, like, yeah, you can do, a lot of people will do a tie-in knocking point above and below their knock, and then D-loop around that, which is the system that I use if I'm, like, actually setting up a bow, if I'm just throwing a D-loop on to shoot. And, like, 99% of the time it's perfectly fine, but I do think that this one is creeping on me a little bit, so we might start to see the arrows dropping lower, because I think it's coming up. So yeah, these cheap arrows, like, they're good. I don't know what else to say. Like, I spend so much money on arrows. Like, I have tried so many different configurations, so many different point weights and lengths and spines and all of those sorts of things. Sometimes I just don't know how much it's all in our head. Doesn't seem to be moving. Seems to be pretty good. Whoa. The good shots feel amazing. It's that beautiful breakaway feeling that you get. I find it like, it might be what I really love most about target shooting, target bows. It's this moment where it's just like, I describe it to people who are new to archery as like, you know, if you shoot a perfect basket, or if you've ever played golf and you take that perfect swing, that tee off, and you know from the second that it breaks that like that's the perfect one. I'm not saying that was a perfect shot, but like it felt good. So that's what I've always really loved about archery. It's that physical feedback. Alright, last two of the target arrows. I figured I'd shoot a lot more target arrows this time, get a better idea of the group. Also just try to slow it down a bit. I know I speak Australian English, so I speak too quickly. So I am trying to slow that down for everyone. It shoots so sweet. Like, if I did put a better rest, put a single pin, like if I did throw the stabilizers on it, like I feel like it would just about be target bow accurate for sure. It feels like a target bow to aim and shoot. Like, it is nice. It is nice. I noticed I buzzed around a bit, I would say, more with the Era and the Omnium. And that's probably a axle to axle thing. That's what I'm tempted to say it is anyway, because the brace heights on this as well as the Era are pretty well the same. 725, so it's exactly the same. So yeah, it must be the axle to axle. But for whatever reason, whether it's limb angle, whether it's reflex deflex in the riser, whatever it is, this bow feels like it holds really well. And it is nice and responsive to shoot. Whoa! That was a wild shot. I honestly don't know what happened there. It felt like the last few. It felt like it broke well. So I'd be tempted to blame the cheap arrow, but it's not. It's not. It'll be me. Like, if I marked that arrow and I tested it with the rest of the group and I shot groups over and over again, I bet I would probably throw that arrow as much as I throw any of the rest of them. But that is why you do mark your arrows. Like, mark them, number them, keep a good track of them. If, say, number 4 or whatever is always throwing out to the left, then, you know, maybe there's something to it. Maybe it actually is the arrow. So, yeah, mark your arrows, track them, but shoot lots and lots. So that was the idea with shooting a lot more arrows as part of this group. Because what we're really doing is we're collecting data to try and, you know, pull out some information and then make adjustments. So the more data we have to work with, the better our adjustments can be, the more precise our assumptions about what may or may not be going on is. So anyway, let's head down the other end and see how we did. Oh, no, wait, sorry. We nearly missed the hunting arrows. And it's an exciting new element, so I want to shoot the hunting arrows. Let's do that. So, my hunting arrow again, Victory, VAP, TKO, 300 spine, 175, including the insert up the front. Let's see how these ones go. Whoa, that was right in the middle. That's that soft spot where it goes straight through the target, so you guys can't see it in a satisfying way. But we'll get down there and fix that up in a minute. Alright, next one with the field point. That was a good one too. seemingly hope to continue the trend of shooting better with my hunting arrows than I do with my target ones. Mind you, considering these are like, I don't know, $250 more expensive than those target ones I just shot, I kind of hope they shoot better. Alright, broadhead. Again, QAD, Exodus, not the sweat blade, full blade. I was thinking that I might also do this test and then sort of like sub in new broadheads as I go, so if you guys think that might be an interesting element to add to the videos, let me know in the comments. So I'm trying to sort of find a style that will work for you guys that's a bit, you know, different to Steve's. That was good. That was fine. So, gotta say, loving the Exodus. Yeah, I'm really interested to see if other broadheads do fly differently. Like, but that's so far like 2 out of 2 bows. Admittedly, this one did shoot well through paper. The other one, I don't know, maybe. But yeah, 2 bows, same broadhead, same arrows, about the same poundage, and no adjustment necessary. Like, I've got 2 sight settings. So I've got a... Oops, sorry. I'll show you. So I've got a target arrow sight setting and a hunting arrow sight setting, but it's just yardage. There's no difference in the left and right. The windage is the same for both sight settings. So I think we've done it again. I think the hunting arrows are better than the target ones. Up here at the target, and like the target group, when I actually grouped, it was amazing. That's a great group. I'd be so happy with that. Like even at a target club with a full target setup, if you shot like that, you're gonna be, you know, better than 90% of people in your state probably. So these ones, like that was that wacky wild one, that last one. I'm gonna go back and watch that on the video as well, so it'll be interesting. But yeah, so bad shots are bad shots, and the good shots are the good ones. And man, are they good. So that's like 2 touching on the spider, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 10s and a 9. Like, with the cheapest arrows I could find in the shop. So, yeah, they felt great too. So, that there is broadhead, broadhead, field point, field point. So, very, very good again. So, summing up, do I like this bow better than the Era? If I'm going to be comparing carbon bows, can I make an objective decision about how I feel? I guess it's a subjective decision, actually. Everything in archery is so subjective. It's all about what we like and what we don't like. There's no right or wrong. There's just what works for you and what doesn't. I love the look of the bow. I think it is sleek. I think it is really sexy. I know that that's a weird word to use to describe a bow. My wife tells me all the time, like when I get a new bow and I bring it home and I set it all up and then I just sit it there in the living room just while I'm watching, so I can just glance at it throughout the night and see it over there. She's like, you know you're weird, right? So I love my bow. So I think that this is one of those bows. I would just obsess about it because it is, like the shapes on it, the angles, like the feel of it, it's great. Like I said, the feedback in the shot, like, I think if you set this bow up for target, I'm sure you would shoot amazing scores with it. I'm sure you would. Yeah, I think I do like it a little bit better than the Era, maybe. Like, I like the sleekness of it. I like how thin the riser is here, you know. I've always liked PSE. I like their system. You can see I actually set the let-off out It comes set on a 90% let off. I don't like 90% let off. Like I said, I'm twitchy. I'm already shaky. If I'm holding only 10%, so what, 6 pounds at full draw, I will see all sorts of left and right wiggle. I like dropping the let off on my bows. But yeah, I'd put a stabilizer on it and just shoot lights out with it, really. So that is our look at my look at the PSE Mach 34. I hope you enjoyed it. We'll do the Hoyt RX-7 next. Yeah, I'm glad you guys have been enjoying the videos so far. I am reading your comments, so if you have any suggestions or anything you'd like to see or whatever, just let me know. I'm trying to think up ideas at the moment for interesting content for all you guys. But yeah, thanks again so much for watching. Enjoy your archery, and I'll see you on the next one.